You need to think hard about how you do this. If you really want to capture value from generative AI, you need to think long-term. And if you want people around to buy your products, if you want to have people participate in the economy, you need to think about even people that you're going to let go. How are you going to make sure that they can participate in the economy so that they can buy your products and your services?
Do you think that it will be, because I want to challenge you a little bit on this, because I think you're the first person I've spoken to that has that mindset that there will be, at least in the short term, massive, high volume impact to employment and people being let go to optimize for profits. Because with the ability to do work with less effort, what necessarily, you mentioned kind of it's happened before in the past, but what necessarily lends itself to saying people are just going to optimize profits rather than have more GDP or company increase in volume and effort? And I guess tied to that as well, do you see it as like a 10-year horizon of like massive unemployment increasing, or where do you see these roles going?
Well, I mean, haven't we seen it in the last year with all these tech layoffs? I mean, we've seen Facebook, IBM, Google, Microsoft laying off all these people because of generative AI. We've seen it in HR. We've seen it in marketing. We've seen it in software development.
Though, or is it the fact that we've been in this weird frothy bubble for 10 years with low interest rates?
They contributed some to that. There's companies that don't have customer service departments anymore. I think JPM, I think they said they expect their software development space to be cut in half over the next 5 years because of generative AI. I mean, if you look at some of software development is going to be decimated by generative AI. I mean, we know that for a fact.
Right. At some point, it will be good enough.
What are all these and it's not going to be that long. I mean, there are tools today that can automate 80% of the software development lifecycle. Yes, you still need software developers, but you don't need as many. And they're going to be doing more value-added work, but you don't need as many. I think there's lots of evidence that says, so even if the tech companies, even if half of the people they laid off is because of it was a bloated industry, which I agree it was, but there were a lot of people in the tech industry that were laid off that were not software developers. They were in support functions, and not talent acquisition support functions, which would be bloated with the development. So I think we're already starting to see signs of this. So that's what makes me think that. Plus, just the software development space, I think we know that's going to happen there. 100% we know it.
That's definitely interesting. So going back to kind of how you advise through Qantm, you were talking about the balance between you need to make sure that there is still a consumer economy, that there is some function for these people that you do lay off in the economy after you exit them and you replace them with AI. What does that look like? How do you ethically approach that as a business where you are a for-profit company? You are bound by your shareholder agreement, for better or for worse, to generate as much profit as possible. This is the pathway through layoffs and increasing layoffs as AI becomes better. What do you do with that as a company leader?
Yeah, I mean, so in my mind, it's no different than what you should be doing anyway. So, the way I've run my teams almost always is I always give my team 20% of their time at work to learn new things. And that sounds like a lot, right? Essentially 1 day a week to go learn new things. In normal times, the value of that is you have people that are always on the top of their game. You have people that are highly engaged, that are loyal to you because they enjoy being able to learn new things and they appreciate that time to stay engaged. So it reduces turnover. Turnover is very expensive. And it's actually, I think it's a good investment. And so if you're doing that anyway, now instead of letting them do whatever they want, now you would focus them. So take that 20% time and focus them on here's things that you need to learn to participate in the new workforce. And you can be a little bit prescriptive. If you look at Saudi, which we were connected through an engagement a conference I was at in Saudi. Saudi has this thing called Saudification, which is basically companies are not allowed to let someone go until they're trained to participate in the workforce in the future. And there's very
Relentless focus on improving the overall country independent of just your company.
right, absolutely. And so that's a countrywide effort. And yes, you can let employees go, but they need to be able to participate in the economy. And that's an effort to protect the Saudi economy, right? Very deliberate. Now, you can think whatever you want about how Saudis run, about all those things. They're doing what I think is the right thing to protect their economy. And so you ask me what a company can do. I kind of describe what a company can do, give people time at work to learn, which you should do anyway. Even the people that are going to stay, that's going to be good for them, good for your engagement, good for your long-term health of your company, because you'll have people that are very well educated on the top of their game. As a country, we should see more countries doing stuff like that to protect their economies.
That's a fascinating perspective. It takes kind of the long-term approach towards reinvesting in the populace, whether they're at a particular company or not, whether they're a consumer or a creator or both. Just make sure you're reinforcing that ecosystem so that it doesn't collapse with this replacement that is potentially coming.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of sound like I'm a nihilist, but I'm not. I'm very optimistic. There's just we need to be very deliberate.
Well, it's the
about
balance
how,
between optimism and pragmatism as well, right? Kind of the dual sides.
Absolutely. We just need to be very deliberate about how we implement this technology, how we transition the workforce, what technologies we choose to implement, how we are more inclusive. I mean, I am very much a pragmatist about this, but we need to be very honest with ourselves and our customers as an industry. And I don't feel like as an industry, we're being honest with society and our customers. And that bothers me, as you can tell.
No, I mean, it's great. Clearly you have thought deeply about this and you're not afraid to kind of rip the, what's the expression? Wool off the eyes, or just be very blunt about, hey, this is a concern. We need to talk about this. And it's not this, everything's fine. Everything's going to be great. There are going to be more jobs. Let's have a real honest conversation about this.
Yeah. And there are going to be more jobs. It's just
Eventually.
going to take a while, and there's going to be pain to get there, but there are going to be more jobs.
If you enjoyed that clip, there is much more of that conversation. Make sure to check out the full interview where we get into so much more. And if it was helpful, click the like and subscribe button. If not, no worries. Hopefully, I'll convince you next time. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy wherever you are.